Howdy SEO Mouse fans, welcome to another edition of Whiteboard Friday. This week I'm super excited. We're going to be talking about something that a lot of people have a big problem with, and that is how do I actually build real, substantive, long-lasting, valuable links for SEO to my website using Twitter. People are like, oh, you know, Twitter's a great way to do SEO, a great way to build connections, and I hear all these, people on the sidelines like, yeah, really? I kind of like my article spinning robot, thank you very much. Like that really, that works for me. And to this I'm like, if you took the time and energy that you invested in some of these lower quality tactics and put them into some higher quality tactics like social connections, and this is where a lot of folks will stop you and they'll be like, social connections, really, Rand? Twitter? Can you actually get direct links from that? I know you get a little tweets, you get more followers, you feel good about yourself, like you're interacting in the community, but do you actually drive real links to your site? Let me show you exactly how. I have 8 tactics specifically designed to really get real high quality links right to your website. Let's walk through them. So number 1, the serendipitous connection. This is sort of the most ethereal and non-direct of these, but the idea being is that, hey, I'm some guy on Twitter, hey, and here's some other nice friend on Twitter, and we start chatting with each other. Right? We start building a connection, and eventually that connection, through good, authentic, sort of participation and back and forth, the relationship that it builds, turns into links. And this happens all the time, and I know it's not very scientific and it's not very direct, and it's hard for a link builder to say like, hey, I'm tweeting back and forth with this person, and eventually maybe I'll get a link from them, and then that'll make the tweeting worthwhile. You're doing a lot more than that. You're obviously building something real and authentic through that connection, but certainly that serendipitous connection can yield a link. Now let me give you 7 much more direct, very targeted ways to earn some links. So number 2, the top X list. This is brilliant from a content perspective. Let me explain how it works. I build a list of like, oh, here's the number 1 guy, number 2 guy, number 3 guy, number 4 guy, and number 5 guy in some particular space. And I take that list of those folks and essentially I build it out in the community or the hub or the area that I care about. So let's say I am in the business of selling snowboard equipment. And so what I want to do is I'm going to take the top 5 snowboarding videos of all time, right? Snowboard stunts. In fact, I might even get more specific because getting more specific yields much better results oftentimes from a link perspective. So what I want to do is I'm going to say the top 5 snowboarding videos taken in Whistler, BC, right? And I'm going to make that a piece of content on my blog, on my website. Maybe it's a blog post, maybe it's just a piece of link bait, maybe it's a list, whatever it is, right? And then I'm going to figure out all the Twitter accounts of all the people who appear in those videos, and I'm going to use Twitter as the way I connect to them. I'm also going to talk to all the people on Twitter and say, hey, does anybody know the best snowboarding videos? Do you have any recommendations? I'm going to reach out to people who've shared snowboarding videos in the past, who have the word snowboard in their profile that I find through a service like FollowerWonk, and I'm going to create those top X lists, and then I'm going to tweet at all those people and give them all badges for having won that they can place on their websites, right? And suddenly I'm getting links from all of the top places in Industry X. And you can repeat this ad nauseum in all sorts of industries. And the wonderful thing that you're doing is you're curating content. You're finding really good stuff. If you build these great lists, it's not just useful to the people here. It's not just earning you links back to your site. It's also fantastic content itself, right? You're helping to collate good things on the internet, good people on the internet. Here's the top Twitter people to follow in the aerospace field. Here's the best sound engineers in Southern California. Whatever it is, you can build it. You can use Twitter to help build those connections. Number 3, the let me build do find that for you. I know this sounds a little weird, but this is a phenomenal way to make those serendipitous connections turn into reciprocation relationships. So for example, you see someone on the web and they are tweeting, I need a this, or I'm having trouble with this. I'll give you a great example. I tweeted recently that my WordPress blog was hacked. It happened to me about 3-4 months ago. Jeff Sauer from 3D Marketing over in Minneapolis reached out to me and said, hey Rand, I'd be happy to help. We connected over email. I gave him my email address. We connected over email. I gave him my login. He fixed the site. He's been fixing it ever since. He's trying to plug up security holes. He's doing great work. He did it all for free. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, Jeff, dude, dude, we got to get you a ticket to MozCon. Like, we gotta make sure we're linking to your website. I try to refer people over to him. What a phenomenal guy, absolutely phenomenal guy on the board at Mima too. It's just that effort of reaching out and helping someone. I don't know how long it took Jeff. I'd like to think it was an hour of Jeff's time, but I hope that over the course of the next 6 months, 12 months, I can reciprocate in a great way. And people are like this, especially people on the web who are active on Twitter and in the social world are like this. If you can do something to help them out, they're going to recognize you for it. It happens all the time. And this is a great thing to do with particularly people who have active blogs and websites where they're contributing a lot. Number 4, the storyteller, aka the Sumify. So this is actually, this is a very simple content building tactic, but the idea here is essentially that people are telling stories through social media, but they're very hard to track unless you're paying attention to every single tweet, right? Like tweet here, tweet there, tweet there. But only this one and maybe this other one down here are relevant to a particular story. And what you want to do is take that time and curate these into a followable, directionable narrative. And once you do, the people who are involved in those stories, the people who are mentioned in them, are going to tweet and share and link to them. Other people are going to tweet and share and link to them if they're interesting. And essentially, you're taking content that's being lost on the social web because it's so temporal, and you're bringing it together. And you can do this from all sorts of places. So Sumify will let you pull from LinkedIn and Quora and Twitter and Facebook, I believe, from blogs. So it's a great tool to be able to do that, but you can do this manually too through screenshots and links and telling the story, those kinds of things. The storyteller is a very powerful way, particularly in spaces where interesting stories are forming and people care about them on the social web, to build content that people are naturally going to be linking to, particularly the people who are involved. And of course, you can use the standard Twitter tactic of tweeting at them to tell them about the content individually, like, at Casey Henry. What's your actual handle?
Casey Hen.
Casey Hen, that's right. At Casey Hen, like, hey, you were mentioned here. Hey, we're linking to your website here. Hey, we wrote about something that you did here. Of course, people want to share those things. Number 5, I know this is a little light because it's in orange, the link suggestion. Perhaps nothing is more obvious and direct, but you really, really need a relationship first to make this work, which is why building relationships with people who are active in your industry or your space and are writing online or blogging or contributing in journalistic practices, run forums, run small business websites, whatever it is, directories, etc. But the link suggestion is essentially when you find pieces of content on their site through reading their RSS feed or browsing, and you think to yourself, boy, they really missed out on this. Which, by the way, I have something written up about that on my blog, or I have that precise product, or I have that service. And when people ask for that, or when they're not even actively asking for it, but they've essentially written about it, they've curated something, you can suggest a link to them, like, at Mark Schuster. Hey, I know you mentioned social media startups in Southern California, but you forgot about Awesome. He probably didn't. I think he's an investor, but. Right, like you should write about them. You should include them as well. Oh, well, great, perfect. That's a direct request for sort of a link for an inclusion in something. Fantastic way to build this up. Number 6, the content to answer your query. I like this one because what happens is you see a lot in the social world, not just on Twitter, but even in places like LinkedIn, on Facebook, which I know sometimes can be private, on Google+, on all the networks, on Quora, certainly tons of questions. And if you can build up the content that answers that query, for example, someone might say, hey, what are the best thin and light laptops? Right? And you say, I see that question come through quite a bit. I am actually going to build up my top recommendations for thin and light laptops. You can be like, here's the top 5, here's who's endorsed them, here's blog posts written about them, here's content from CNET, here's all their specs, here's some graphics, here's some video, whatever it is. You curate that stuff? Come on, man. And then you reply to the people who are asking, and those questions come through day after day after day. Boom, boom, boom. You can just be replying to them and saying, hey, I built this thing because I saw a lot of people asking it on Twitter and yada, yada, yada. That's going to drive some great links, drive some great content too. Number 7, it's kind of what I love about this one is the reciprocation aspect and the just general goodness that you add to the world. It's called the must-have testimonial. Idea is simple. people out there on the web are always looking for people to say nice things about their product that they can use on their website. If you can engage people on Twitter and find those people, particularly in sort of startup types of environments or small business environments, in particular local businesses, they love to feature content from people. And if you say, hey, so-and-so, I wrote a blog post about how much I loved your restaurant, how much I loved your video hosting service, how much I loved your t-shirt that you designed, how much I loved the new eyeglasses that I got from your shop on the web. Whatever it is, you send them, you essentially create kind of that testimonial for them and tweet at them and say, hey, so-and-so, like, I just want to let you know I really love your stuff. If you would ever like a testimonial, just email me or direct message me. I'm following you. You probably get a follower. You probably get a direct message. They'll probably put that testimonial on their website, right? And you'll get a link back from the testimonial. And you've done something great for them, right? You've said, hey, I love their product. I want to endorse them. And now this great product or website that you like is linking back to you. It's a win, huge win. All right, last one. Number 8, the biz dev deal. This works so well all the time because essentially businesses, particularly small businesses, medium businesses, even big businesses, are always looking for ways to jumpstart their reach, right? And anyone who's participating on the social web, chances are really good they're trying to do a lot of other inbound marketing. And so that means that if you reach out to them and say, hey, you know, we really like what you guys are doing, and we'd love to talk about ways that we could potentially partner. If you build up that Twitter relationship first, you're definitely going to get a reply. You're going to get a reply to that email. They're going to be more likely to like the things that you're doing if they know who you are and they've seen you on Twitter for a while. Building up those serendipitous connections first is going to mean the world when you reach out for a biz dev deal. And biz dev deals almost always include some linking back and forth between your website and websites this other entity might own, and that's going to mean good stuff. So when folks say Twitter can't help you link build, Twitter's not that great for SEO, I want you to look down this list and look down the list below me in the comments where people are going to add tons more awesome ideas and tell you about great stories of how they got links on Twitter, and explain to me how anyone can believe that. Twitter is a phenomenal tool for link building, great way to do inbound marketing, and such a better use of your time than so many other negative, useless, short-term tactics. So I hope you'll jump on Twitter, follow me at Randfish and at SEOmoz, and maybe I'll be happy to link to you in some future posts. Thanks everyone. Take care. See you again next week for another edition of Whiteboard Friday.